International climate treaties have mandated a strict transition away from fossil fuels. This top-down pressure has accelerated the demand for carbon-neutral infrastructure on a global scale. To achieve these deployment goals, the energy sector is relying almost entirely on a single technology, lithium-ion energy storage. But rolling out this infrastructure means operating in geographic realities that are fiercely hostile to electronics. Arctic monitoring stations, high-altitude grids, and aerospace platforms frequently require power in ambient temperatures that plunge toward -40°C. In the remote locations where off-grid power is most critical, conventional lithium-ion technology suffers its most catastrophic capacity loss. Fulfilling the requirements of global energy storage requires solving the physics of why these cells die in the cold. We start with open circuit voltage, or OCV. This is the theoretical maximum voltage a battery can deliver when no current is flowing, the strict thermodynamic baseline of the cell. Under ideal, room temperature conditions, a battery discharging under load produces a stable, relatively flat curve that tracks closely with this OCV baseline. This graph shows what happens when we drop the temperature. The 25-degree ideal remains flat, but the -40-degree operational reality plunges prematurely under load. The theoretical energy remains present in the cell. The collapse happens because the battery cannot extract that energy fast enough to sustain the load. To fix this, we need to map the internal energies of the electrodes under perfect conditions, and then pinpoint exactly what breaks when the system is put to work. Engineering a battery for extreme environments requires deconstructing its performance into two competing physical domains: macroscopic bulk thermodynamics and microscopic interfacial kinetics. We first look to the academic models of battery thermodynamics. Based on the Nernst equation, open circuit voltage at equilibrium is dictated by the change in internal energy as ions move between the anode and the cathode. Inside the cathode, that internal energy is stored within a geometric transition metal oxide lattice, which securely holds the active charge carriers inside. During the charging cycle, we extract a single charge carrier, like a lithium ion, from this solid lattice. When that ion leaves, it takes a positive charge with it. To maintain strict electrical neutrality within the crystal, an adjacent transition metal atom must instantly oxidize, losing an electron. Calculating the exact energetic cost of these atomic shifts usually requires density functional theory. This is a quantum mechanical modeling method that is highly accurate but computationally exhausting to run. Battery engineers testing thousands of potential material combinations need a faster, more practical mathematical model to predict how an electrode will behave before they ever build it. This is where the semi-empirical model comes in. It bypasses heavy quantum calculations by isolating the two most dominant physical forces operating inside the lattice. The first is the bare electrostatic or Coulombic interaction between the densely packed ions. The second is the pure ionization energy required to strip an electron from the transition metal. To make these two forces match experimental reality, the model divides them by a single critical correction parameter, epsilon. Epsilon functions as the material's effective dielectric constant. It measures how well the surrounding lattice shields and dampens those internal electrostatic forces. For example, swapping lithium for sodium increases epsilon. Sodium's larger ionic radius creates better dielectric screening. By calculating this screening parameter across concentrations, the model accurately plots the stability of intermediate phases, generating a thermodynamic map known as a convex hull. This dielectric screening parameter defines the thermodynamic ideal of the cell. It tells us the maximum potential energy the material can deliver under equilibrium. Thermodynamics only dictates the potential voltage. Kinetics dictate the actual current. As ambient temperatures drop toward -40, the liquid electrolyte inside the battery thickens, viscosity spikes, and bulk ionic conductivity plummets. It's logical to assume this thick liquid is the primary reason the battery stops working, but the data reveals a different bottleneck. Electrochemical impedance spectroscopy reveals that the cell's resistance is concentrated at the boundary between the liquid electrolyte and the solid electrode. This Arrhenius plot tracks different impedance factors as temperatures fall. Right as we drop below 0°C, charge transfer resistance spikes exponentially, becoming the dominant form of cell impedance. The failure point occurs when ions are forced to cross the border into the solid anode. When a lithium ion travels through the liquid electrolyte, it is tightly bound inside a cage of solvent molecules, known as a solvation shell. Before that ion can pass through the solid electrolyte interface, or SEI, and enter the anode, it must physically strip off this solvent cage. This energy landscape chart illustrates the cost of that process. Stripping the shell requires a massive activation energy of roughly 50 kilojoules per mole. This dwarfs the 20 kilojoules per mole required to simply migrate through the SEI layer itself. At room temperature, the system possesses enough ambient thermal energy to overcome this 50 kilojoule barrier. The shell strips off easily. But at -40 degrees, that thermal energy vanishes. The stripping process stalls. Anions arrive at the interface, but lack the energy to shed their solvent cages, piling up on the surface, unable to enter the anode. This microscopic traffic jam creates a mismatch. The external circuit demands current, but the internal kinetics are too sluggish to provide it, resulting in massive cell polarization. When polarization forces the local overpotential to drop below 0 volts relative to the lithium reference, the system reaches its breaking point. Instead of safely intercalating into the graphite structure, those backed-up lithium ions undergo direct chemical reduction right on the surface of the anode. This results in lithium plating. Metallic lithium forms sharp dendrite spikes that grow outward and pierce the internal architecture of the battery. These dendrites permanently consume the active lithium inventory, killing the battery's capacity, and they create high-risk internal short circuits. Because of this severe kinetic bottleneck, engineers working in extreme environments currently bypass the problem by abandoning rechargeable lithium ion completely. The industry standard for ultra-cold utility metering and remote sensors is primary, non-rechargeable chemistries, specifically lithium thionyl chloride. These batteries rely on highly exergonic, irreversible chemical reactions. Because the active materials are completely consumed, they avoid the reversible desolvation bottleneck, maintaining power down to -60 degrees. Right now, surviving extreme cold requires a compromise, sacrificing rechargeability entirely just to keep the power flowing. Building a rechargeable battery for extreme weather depends on balancing two isolated domains of physics. In the first domain, the bulk solid-state lattice, engineers must maximize dielectric screening to stabilize the thermodynamic open circuit voltage. In the second domain, the liquid-solid interface, they must simultaneously tune the electrolyte solvent to weaken the solvation shell and lower the desolvation energy barrier. The tension here is strict. Solvents that create high ionic conductivity often bind tightly to the lithium ion, making it harder to strip that shell at the interface. Solving the cold weather problem requires integrating these two optimized physical domains into a single cohesive system. The future of aerospace, of Arctic deployment, and remote energy storage depends on discovering materials that satisfy both the bulk thermodynamics and the interfacial kinetics simultaneously. We can only break free from the constraints of extreme environments by mastering both the thermodynamic ideal and the kinetic reality.